Hey, what's up, guys? It's Vince Spompanato, and today I'm coming to you with a video around what I like to call reluctance. This is for all those salespeople that are starting a new position and may be experiencing some level of call reluctance. Today, in my company, we started 15 new telesales agents, and some of them are experiencing some pretty heavy call reluctance. So I thought, what better day to make a video on how to overcome what I call reluctance. So let's jump right into it and let's define call reluctance to begin with. What exactly is this? Call reluctance is when you have some sort of emotional short circuit, right? It diverts the energy from the act of prospecting or making the calls to the act of what we call procrastination. And I think we can all agree that nothing good comes out of procrastinating, right? Nothing good. It's emotionally challenging, and it costs us financially too when we procrastinate. So instead of making calls, what ends up happening is these call reluctant salespeople are busy preparing, organizing their desk, getting everything prepared, thinking that somehow that's going to make a difference, when in actuality what they really should be doing is picking up the phone or taking calls and getting their feet wet and getting out there and making sales. That's all that really matters. All this organization stuff doesn't matter. We can do that at any time. We can do that after hours. It doesn't take all day to organize your desk and to get everything ready. So that is really essentially what call reluctance is. They allow their fears. Sometimes salespeople allow their fears to stand in the way of their actual goals, and that has a huge consequence financially and emotionally. You see, the way I see call reluctance is it's just an internal roadblock, right? It's all in our mind. It's not something that actually exists. Like if I were to tell you right now, hey, go grab me a jar or a can of that call reluctance, right? You couldn't do it. It's a figment of your imagination. It doesn't exist. There is no such thing as call reluctance. So it's important that you understand as a salesperson that you got to get these scary thoughts. If you're having these thoughts of, oh boy, if you're feeling nervous or anxious, you just got to overcome it. You got to figure out a solution to overcoming those scary thoughts, right? I was reading a book, and I want to keep this short, so I'm going to cut this down, but I was reading a book called, it was called The Psychology of Sales Call Reluctance. Oh boy. It was written by a man and a woman. I'm trying to recall their name. George Dudley and Shannon Goodson. It's called the Psychology of Sales Call Reluctance. And what they report in their book is that 80% of all salespeople who fail within their first year, they usually fail because of insufficient activity, which is the result of call reluctance, or which happens because of call reluctance, I should say. So if you're experiencing call reluctance, I'm about to give you a solution to it. But before I do that, I want to talk about the three main causes of call reluctance, because if you know what causes it, you can eliminate those things out of your life, right? You can get rid of them. The first one is what I like to call the fraud factor, right? The fraud factor. This has to do with your lack of belief in your own ability or in your service, right? So, or your product, I should say too, okay? This is your own lack of conviction or belief in your ability to deliver a good service or a product, right? Successful selling involves two parts. The first part, of course, is being able to sell yourself, right? Having the conviction in yourself, having the belief that what you do, you're good at it, right? That is selling yourself. And the second is selling your client, right? We have to sell the prospect. And the only way we can sell the prospect is if we have the belief in ourselves, the confidence in ourselves. Because after all, sales is just a transfer of confidence, right? So if you're not sold 100% on the quality of your service and on yourself, then you're going to tend to avoid selling situations, i.e. call reluctance. You're not going to want to make those calls. The second one is what I call repeated failure, right? So this happens when a salesperson makes several attempts but keeps getting hung up on, or keeps having a failure, right? They keep getting hung up on. And over time, that continuous getting hung up on instills fear in the customer, or instills fear in the salesperson. And that phone, okay, so let's pretend this is a phone, right? That phone starts to feel like a 5,000-pound gorilla, right? I don't want to pick up the phone. I'm going to fail again, right? And you start experiencing that call reluctance. So that's the second reason, is that repeated failure that eventually gets you into this negative cycle. And then the third one, this is the most common, okay? Because, gosh, it's an epidemic today, but it's the fear of rejection or people pleasing. Like, ooh, what if this person doesn't like me? What if they reject me? It's scary. I don't want to be rejected, right? Fear of rejection is really the third thing that really, really holds people back, salespeople back, from selling with confidence. When a telesales agent that works with me makes a call to a prospect, right? They make that call. They're going to go through a sales process. And I don't care what type of lead it is. It could be a person that actually called inbound off of a television commercial. They're still going to receive, in most cases, some form of resistance, right? Some form of rejection. And if the salesperson takes that rejection personally, it can lead to more call reluctance. So what do we do? What do we do to overcome this call reluctance? Well, let me give you an analogy and then a solution, okay? Have any of you ever jumped into a cold pool? Okay, you saw the cold pool and you were like, ooh, that's gonna be cold, but you just jumped right into it, right? And it was cold, right? Like you hit that water and it was freezing cold. And then you jumped out of that water, and then you jumped back in, and then it felt warm again, right? It felt warmer, I should say. Well, in sales, it's the same way, right? When you're going out there to make these sales calls, you just gotta jump in, right? So I have what I call the 10-minute rule. And that is if you show up at 8 o'clock in the morning for work every morning, that within 10 minutes, you need to be on the phone with your first prospect. You need to make that call within 10 minutes of sitting down in your chair. No organizing, no doing all that kind of stuff. Get on the phone. Go get your cup of coffee, go to the bathroom, come back, and within 10 minutes, you're on the phone. And when you do that, what's going to end up happening is you're going to not have to think about it for a half an hour, 40 minutes, an hour before you make that first call. And you're going to warm up immediately, and that second call is going to become easier. That third call is going to become easier. And then over time, what's going to happen is you're going to get good, and all that call reluctance is going to go away. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you received some value. My name again is Vince Spompanato, and look for more videos from me. Have a great day, and comment below if you have a tip or a trick that you can add to overcoming call reluctance. I look forward to hearing from you.